art journals, art projects, organized planner chic.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Organized Planner Chic. I'm Lucinda, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do so and select the bell for notifications. Well, first, I want to thank all my Patreon members who help make it possible to create videos like this. Well, thank you so much, my awesome patrons. And if you're interested in supporting me on Patreon, just go to patreon.com/organizedplannerchic. Okay, you guys, we're going to be making a junk journal, and I'm just going to be using a box. So this happened to have washing soda, which is in the laundry section because I make my own laundry detergent, and that's one of the ingredients. But you can use any box. It's about that size or any size, it really doesn't matter. And I just cut off the top and bottom and then one of those narrow sides, which will be my spine. And I've chosen two different papers. I'm going to be using this as my gardening journal, and so I wanted everything to be flowers and plants. So I chose two different sheets of 12 by 12 paper because one sheet won't be big enough for what we need to do. And then I'm going to use some Mod Podge. I definitely want to speed that up because that takes forever. So I use some Mod Podge to adhere it, and I try to be careful not to use more than what I need, but not, to use too little because you do want everything to stick. And so now I'm just going to lay the box down on the 12 by 12 sheet of paper in the position. Now I should have put a little bit of Mod Podge on the spine as well. It just would have been easier because I wind up having to tuck in some glue later, but it's all fine. Everything's going to be layered. And then I just like to take my bone folder and smooth it around the edges. It just helps to make sure I get the glue really down to the bottom edge, top corners, all that kind of stuff. So I don't have to do as much extra touching up later on. And I'm just going to cut this little side there about the same width as the top and bottom. And I wound up cutting this corner or these corners a little too close. Usually it's not an issue. I don't know what happened, but I'm going to touch those up here in a little while as well. And then I'm just going to use some more Mod Podge to adhere the top, bottom, and side of the paper, the 12 by 12 paper, so that everything is completely covered and it will look neat in the end. And of course I did this all the way around. I'm using my bone folder again. I love my bone folder. If you know me and you follow my channel, then I just love the motion of it. And whenever I'm using a smaller area, I tend to use the bottom instead of the the long piece of the bone folder to get it in there really good. And so yeah, there I'm doing it on all corners, and of course I did the other sheet of paper on the other side, and that's where I didn't put any glue on the spine, and so I'm just tucking some in there to make this a little bit smoother, and doing that on both sides there in the middle. And then I'm going to tuck a little bit of glue right in there and use my handy dandy bone folder. Okay, so now I've got glue all on my fingers. Now I'm just kind of bending the cardboard. I like to just do that and help smooth things and shape it up a little bit. Just using my finger to rub in a little bit of extra glue, and then there in the inside of the spine I just need to do a little bit of tucking as well, and I'll be using my bone folder on those pieces, but that and the outside, they're all going to be layered. But even though you're having layers, you still want to smooth out each one because it'll be lumpy and it'll be obvious. So you see how I had gaps there on the corners when I folded them in. I didn't want that to show because even though I'm going to layer some paper on top of it, I wanted to make sure I didn't have any gaps all the way to the end. I just didn't want any of the brown showing, so I just cut out some little squares to cover those corners all the way around with my Mod Podge and my bone folder. And then I needed to cut a little strip to go down the center so that it looks nice and neat whenever I am all finished. And so that's going to go down the center, that inside part of the spine. And I got some real pretty paper there. And I just like to bend the top and not cut it until the end, which you'll see in a moment, because sometimes you position paper and you wind up realizing that you cut it too short because of, you know, where it's stuck or whatever. And this way I don't have to worry about that happening. So I'm just going to lay it down here, use my bone folder, and it is black paper, so it looked kind of messy whenever the glue was drying, which again doesn't matter in the end, but I just wanted to look a little neater, so I took a little microfiber cloth and kind of smoothed it out a little bit, and it looked like it had some little white specks. And now I'm just trimming the excess, and that way I know I had enough and everything is really nice, and I still needed to do a little tuck of glue. It happens. All right, there you go, bone folder girl, that's who you are with your microfiber cloth. Okay, now I'm just using the bone folder along in the spine, and you can kind of tell I had some bubbles there, and it definitely shows up more with black paper, but it's not going to show up in the end because all that's going to be covered up. So yeah, I'm just shaping it with the bone folder in there, drying off the little excess glue. Needed to tuck in a little piece right there. All right, now smooth it in, smooth it in. You can tell how I'm holding it. I've got glue all over my fingers. Okay, so now I'm just putting some Mod Podge down again because I need a couple of pieces to cover all of that stuff up. So I found some really pretty paper. I think it's beautiful. And so I'm just going to, of course, smooth that out with the bone folder. I'll speed that up again here in a little bit. Well, I think that's enough bone folder action, Lucy, but it's nice and smooth. I did not wind up with any bubbles on that. Do a little bit, tuck in there, feeling around, and I did the other side, as you can see. Just bending it like I like to do. It helps to check for bubbles and make sure things are as smooth as I could possibly get it. And now it's time for me to cover up that spine as well. This piece that I cut for the spine is a little bit wider than the piece that I cut for the inside because I wanted there to be a little bit of fold over or hangover onto the front so it would look really nice and neat, and I think it worked out pretty well. And then I'm just using the bone folder there, tucking it in around the folded part too, and it still looked a little bubbly kind of at that point, but it won't when we're all done. You'll see. I'm just cutting off the excess. And now I like to, now normally when I'm covering a book or journal or something, I prefer to use fabric. It's so much easier to lay down, and it's just a thicker material, and then, you know, everything works out really well. But I did paper, and I did put a top coat of Mod Podge on there as well. You can also use some liquid, like Liquitex, but I prefer to use that on my fine art because it's more expensive. Okay, so I'm going to have 3 signatures inside here, and I've already put some pages together, some mixture of different types of paper, some mixed media paper, some just kind of cardstock, old file folder type paper, and some sketch paper. And then I'm going to, in a little bit, stick in some different little pieces of colored paper that has flowers in it or plants. But that's what I started off with for all 3 signatures. It's just that. And then I have just pulled out a stack from my paper scraps of florals, things with flowers in it, or cards that have flowers in it. This didn't, but it has a really pretty background from a card. I took all the other parts off of it, so I'm going to use that. I think I put it in the middle at this point in the video, but in the end I used it as the outside. I think it was the outside cover. Can't remember. We'll see here in a minute. And then I just sorted through here and pulled out some different pieces and just kind of tucked them in different places. I only did at this point the ones that I knew I was going to stitch through for the signatures. So things that I wanted to just kind of add in or tape in or glue in that didn't need to go around the spine. I didn't do that at this point. Only the ones that were going to be stitched in. Yeah, and I just picked out some different ones that I kind of liked. Okay, and so I did that for all 3 signatures. Okay, and now it is time to get ready to stitch the signatures just a little bit. What I'm doing is I'm just going to stitch in the middle, and then like about 1.5 inches above that and 1.5 inches below. I'm using an awl to punch my hole, which this paper was pretty thick in this particular signature, so it took me a minute to get that hole all the way through. And I bought this awl years ago at Hobby Lobby, and then when I was out of town one time and needed to get another awl because I didn't have it with me, they didn't carry them, at least in Colorado Springs at that particular store. They didn't. And so yeah, I just put the holes in the, like I said, center, and then about 1.5 inches above and below that. And now I'm just stitching through the holes with some embroidery thread. And it was really hard to do this on camera, so I didn't do it for very long because I couldn't see what I was doing, but you can kind of tell there. Yeah, just having that one small piece in the middle of this particular signature made it a little complicated, but it's not when all the pages are about the same size. Well, when the top page is the same size as the majority of the pages, it's so much easier. And then I decided to tie the knot or the bow. I think I did a knot and then a bow on the back of each signature because I'm going to tie the stitching that I do to the spine of the cover. I'm going to tie those in the inside of the signature. And I just didn't want to have all those different bows to be contending with. So that's how I did it that way. Just did it as tight as I could for that top knot or first knot, and then I just did like the bunny ears for the second one, and I think I doubled the bunny ears, which I do my sneakers, I call them tennis shoes, but I do those, my sports shoes or whatever, the same way when I tie them. So then I've got that one all stitched up. And I'm just using my bone folder to flatten them out a little bit. I mean, it's not really necessary, but it just feels good to me. So that's kind of how that's looking so far. And I did that with all 3 signatures. And then I also added the holes at the top and the bottom of each one so that I can stitch that through the cover. And so there are the holes that I placed, and I did measure those holes from the top ones and the bottom ones, about 1 inch from the top and the bottom, so that they would be in the exact same placement of the signatures so that I wouldn't have an issue. Now, initially I was going to try to stitch buttons like I used to do when I first started making traveler's notebooks, but I was using elastic through the holes, and it was so easy to do buttons that way. And then I didn't think about it when I was getting ready to do that for this, because I was going to have to have 2 sets of holes for each button, and that was going to mean punching through the signatures again. I was like, I'm not doing that. So I just did the one hole or 3 holes with 1 stitching through there. And so yeah, so that's all together now. Now I'm looking to see where I want to put a hole for the ribbon on the cover, because I didn't think about it first whenever I was making the cover, and so I just kind of decided I'd make that about 1 inch in, and now I'm making the hole for that. And this hole is not going to be big enough using this awl, so you'll see me switch it up here in a minute, but I'm just showing you twisting it. You'll see, there you go, you see me now twisting to help that hole go through. That's what really makes it work. So this is a bigger awl. So that time that I was in Colorado Springs and couldn't get one from Hobby Lobby, I got that giant one at Lowe's, which really works out because sometimes I need a much bigger hole. So now I've got some ribbon, this real pretty lace ribbon. I actually got this ribbon at Dollar Tree, And in the end, I'm going to use a different ribbon because this one's not really long enough. It looks about the same, but it's a lighter color. And so yeah, so I'm going to just twist it on the end and bring it through the hole, and then all the way over to the other side and to the other hole. All right, now there we go. Well, not much longer. I haven't done that yet. I haven't used a longer one yet, but it is through the hole. And so now I just wanted to make the hole look a little bit neater. And so I'm just using some washi tape that blends in pretty well. And I'm gonna do that, you know, kind of like a little box or hashtag all around the hole, and then I'll trim it up just a little bit with some scissors to make it a little neater. But then I don't even think I did that in the back because it wound up looking fine. Plus I'm going to add a pocket. There we go, pockets at the bottom of each one. I folded them over and made sure I glued the top fold down so I wouldn't forget, because that one doesn't need to be glued to the to the cover, otherwise I won't have a pocket. But on the edges and those little corners, I just wanted to glue those in a little bit. And now I'm using some permanent tape, really good. Now I love Terrifically Tacky tape and the knockoffs at Hobby Lobby and Michael's and all that stuff, but this kind is from Dollar Tree and it is fantastic. I mean, it really is. And I bought a ton of it and I have been using it, and it is permanent and will not come off, just like Terrifically Tacky tape. It's good stuff. So I'm using that to put the pockets in, just pulling that little top part, you know, that little white part that you pull off so you can get the adhesive, and sticking the pocket on there. And guess what I'm going to use? The bone folder. There we go. It's so therapeutic. So now there's the other pocket on the other side. I didn't have enough of that same paper to do the same pocket on the front and back, but that's good. It's all okay. And there we are. So I'm going to do a flip through of the whole thing. That is the longer ribbon I was telling you about, because this is going to get fuller and I'm going to add to it. I do think on the spine I'm probably going to add some fabric flowers to protect it a little bit more and make the holes look a little prettier, or maybe cover those holes. And on the first signature I did add a little bit more paper. So there in the pocket I added some vintage type paper for writing in whenever I start working in here, and I just added a little bit of color on each page for the most part on the first signature. Now I didn't want to do much because I'm going to be doing junk journaling with me and drawing, sketching, watercolor, marker, and all of that. That's why I use the different types of art paper, so that I can do that as part of my gardening stuff, because I do have a garden on my patio now. I started it a few months ago and it's beautiful and everything's growing and I'm so excited. And I did some things, well, yeah. Gosh, I totally lost my train of thought of what I was getting ready to say. It happens, y'all. And so, yeah, so I just had a little bit of color, but I want to work through this and make it beautiful and work one page at a time. So I didn't do a lot of, you know, layering and all that stuff. I want to do that as I work through and as I do videos with you guys. But I did add some, and then the rest of them, the other inserts are just the way they were when I first took some scraps and tucked them in there. So yeah, I'm just kind of showing you what's in those. Just a little something here and there. All right, you guys. Well, while we look through this one, I'll just tell you thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps my channel a lot when you subscribe and comment and give it a thumbs up and share it with other people. Also, you can follow me on, follow me on Instagram at Organized Planner Chic, where I post all of my creative ventures and adventures. Also, I have 2 Facebook groups. The local one is called Phoenix Planner Friends for Christ, and there we meet in person once a month and have lots of planner fun. And then I also have one called Organized Planner Chic Crew for anyone around the world, and there we do giveaways and we try to stay in touch just about every day with videos and Facebook Live and all that good stuff and posts. And if you're interested in supporting me on Patreon, just go to patreon.com/organizedplannerchic. And until next time, everyone, happy planning!